Hello, beautiful Leo. Welcome back. If you've been feeling like something heavy is moving through the air, something unseen but deeply familiar, you're not imagining it. Mercury Retrograde is arriving, and this time, it's not just about delayed messages or canceled plans. This retrograde, beginning July 19th, carries something much more personal for you. It doesn't just interfere with communication, it reopens the doors to parts of you that were once closed. It brings back the memories you buried quietly, the heartbreaks you endured in silence, the nights you stood alone with no applause, and the moments when you had to choose your truth over your comfort. This isn't punishment, Leo. It's remembrance. The universe is calling you back, not to relive the pain, but to recognize the cost of becoming the person you are now. You didn't get here by accident. You walked through fire. You let go of what was safe. You said no to what was easy. You stood up when no one saw you. And now this retrograde pulls all of that to the surface, not to tear you down, but to remind you you've already paid the price. And I know, Leo, this may already feel like a strange weight in your chest, like you're watching the world move in reverse while something inside you is trying to stay grounded. That's because you're not syncing with the collective rhythm anymore. You're ahead of it. You feel before others do. You sense the shifts before they're visible. And while that can be lonely, it's also a quiet confirmation. You're still walking in purpose. Stay with me, because in this video, we're going to walk through exactly what this retrograde means for your soul, for your message, for your mission, and why it's not here to break you. It's here to reveal what's always been unshakable. This return to the past is not here to punish you, Leo. It's here to remind you why you left in the first place, why you chose truth over illusion, why you walked away from what almost broke you. The memories that resurface during this retrograde aren't mistakes, they're mirrors. They're not meant to pull you backwards, but to anchor you in the reality that you'll never go back to who you were. Because you've outgrown it, because your spirit no longer fits in the spaces that once silenced you. The ache you feel now is the residue of all the times you stayed quiet when you should have been heard, all the times you carried others when no one thought to carry you, all the times you dimmed your fire just to belong. And this retrograde brings those moments forward, not to shame you, but to honor how far you've come, without the world ever noticing. You're not being punished for your growth. You're being refined. And the silence that surrounds you now, the pause, the unanswered texts, the plans that seem to stall, is not abandonment. It's sacred observation. It's the universe stepping back, not because it forgot you, but because it wants to see how you move without needing a sign, how you stand when nothing echoes back. You're not lost, Leo. You're being watched with reverence, because what you're building now isn't built for show. It's built to last, and lasting things take time. Stillness is not failure. It's preparation. When the noise disappears, when the spotlight fades, when it feels like no one is clapping, that's the space where your strength sharpens, not to impress anyone, but because this journey was never meant to be lived for applause. It was meant to be lived in truth. And you're still living it, even now, even in the quiet, especially in the quiet. And then comes the part that cuts the deepest. Not the silence, but the distortion. The way your voice, clear in your heart, somehow gets twisted when it leaves your mouth. The way your words are taken the wrong way, your meaning lost, your truth brushed aside as too much, too intense, too inconvenient. There's a particular kind of loneliness, Leo, in being misunderstood, in speaking from a place of honesty, only to be met with judgment, confusion, or worse, indifference. You start to question your clarity, your presence, your worth, but you must keep speaking, not to convince anyone, not to fix what they refuse to hear, but because your voice still matters, even when it echoes into nothing. This isn't about being liked. It's about staying aligned, and that means holding your truth even when it doesn't land the way you hoped, even when no one affirms it. even when it feels like you're talking to walls. Because your voice isn't just about sound, it's your energy. It's how you lead. It's how you hold the line when everyone else is losing theirs. And Leo, let's be honest, you've become the one others turn to without even realizing it. The one who feels the shifts in a room before a single word is spoken. The one who absorbs the tension, steadies the chaos, holds space for others' breakdowns while never being allowed to have your own. You carry emotions that aren't even yours, and you've done it for so long it's become second nature. But that kind of presence, that kind of emotional labor, rarely gets noticed. You don't collapse so no one checks if you're tired. You don't lash out so no one wonders if you're hurting. You show up calm so they assume you're fine. But underneath that strength is a quiet exhaustion that no one sees. That's the cost of being the anchor, of being the one who filters, who stabilizes, who never lets the room fall apart. And yes, it's noble. Yes, it's powerful. But it's also isolating, because while others get to react, you're left to process. While others fall apart, you're expected to hold it together, and still, you do. Because you know deep down that your role isn't about being seen. It's about keeping the foundation intact. Even when no one thanks you for it. Even when no one notices. You've probably wondered why everything feels so off lately. Why your rhythm doesn't match anyone else's. Why conversations feel empty. Why rooms that once felt familiar now carry a strange weight. But Leo, you're not out of sync. You're ahead of it. You're not falling behind. You're moving forward while the rest of the world is still standing still. That disconnect you feel, that sensation of drifting, of not belonging anywhere, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because you've shifted. Your energy is no longer calibrated to the collective's pace. You've grown beyond the old conversations, the surface-level connections, the spaces that once kept you contained. And what feels like isolation is actually expansion. You're being tuned for a bigger reality, one that can actually hold the full truth of who you are becoming. And yes, the process is exhausting. It comes with emotional static, waves of confusion, sudden sadness, moments where your body feels like it's carrying more than it should. The headaches, the heaviness in your chest, the restlessness that won't go away. These aren't signs that you're breaking down. They're signals that you're being rewired, because stepping into a higher alignment means releasing everything that no longer fits, and that includes the energy of people, places, and patterns you once loved. It's not easy, it's not clean, but it's necessary. You're being restructured from the inside out, and that ache you feel, it's the space inside you widening to receive what you've been asking for all along. Not the version filtered through survival, but the version built on wholeness. So when you look around and don't recognize your surroundings, or when no one seems to understand what you're carrying, don't shrink. Don't question the pace of your growth. You're not lost. You're being aligned with something real, something that requires you to be fully awake, fully present, and fully honest about what no longer fits in your life. Keep going. You're closer than you think. And as Mercury turns backward on July 19th, Leo, you may also feel this retrograde pressing into the spaces of work and finances, not with chaos, but with quiet truth. The kind of truth that's hard to ignore when the noise fades and the numbers don't lie. You might start to notice that certain projects feel stagnant, not because you're lazy or uninspired, but because they're no longer aligned with the version of you that's evolving. The motivation you once had for chasing titles, approval, or external validation may feel like it's evaporating, and what's left behind is a deep questioning. Is this still worth my energy? Financially, this isn't a time for big risks or impulsive moves. It's a time to review. Rethink what you're investing in, not just with money, but with your time, your attention, your creativity. This retrograde has a way of exposing where you've been spending energy that doesn't return anything real. You may find that you're still holding on to work out of habit, fear, or comfort, even though your soul has already checked out. And the tension you feel around money now, it's not punishment, it's a mirror. It's showing you where you've been underestimating your worth, underpricing your energy, or pouring effort into systems that were never built to nourish you in return. You're not here to chase breadcrumbs, Leo. You're here to build something lasting, and sometimes that means pausing long enough to see what's been draining you. Mercury retrograde may bring delays or moments of uncertainty in your workflow, but these slowdowns are invitations to realign, to ask the harder questions, to realize that stability isn't found in staying busy. It's found in building something that feeds your spirit, not just your bank account. Use this time to re-evaluate contracts, commitments, and long-term plans. Don't be afraid to walk away from what no longer honors your growth, even if it once felt secure. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of a new kind of success, one that doesn't cost your peace. So Leo, if this retrograde feels heavier than usual, if it feels personal, raw, or strangely familiar, it's because it is. This isn't just a cosmic hiccup in your calendar. It's a deep recalibration of everything you've built from the inside out. You're being asked to see clearly now, without filters, without distractions, without waiting for someone else to affirm what your spirit already knows. The path you're on requires more than strength. It requires honesty. It requires presence. It asks you to stop performing alignment and actually live it, even when no one is watching, even when the results are quiet, even when the world around you is still catching up to the truth you've already stepped into. And I know it's tempting to second-guess it all, to look around at the delay, the silence, the strange detachment in conversations and wonder if maybe you've made a wrong turn. But Leo, you haven't. You've made the brave turn. You chose clarity over comfort. You chose stillness over chasing. You chose truth over pretending. And now you're standing in the in-between, not quite where you were, not yet where you're going. And that space is sacred. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also the threshold, the ground between who you used to be and who you're becoming. And the only way to cross it is with trust. Trust that the silence isn't punishment, it's proof of how far you've come. Trust that what's leaving was never meant to follow you forward. Trust that what you're feeling isn't weakness. It's your sensitivity toning into deeper layers of truth that most people ignore. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to hold a light most can't see until they need it. And though this light may not always get applause, it's what guides entire rooms, entire generations, into something better. That's not small. That's not invisible. That's legacy. So take a breath. Let the static pass through. Let the memories rise and dissolve. Let the doubts come, and then let them go. You're not here to beg for clarity. You're here to embody it. Keep walking even when the path disappears beneath your feet. Keep speaking even when your voice shakes. Keep showing up, not for the outcome, but because the act of showing up is the transformation. This retrograde may not bring quick wins, but it will reveal what's real. And you, Leo, you are real. You are rooted. You are rising. Even in the dark, even in the silence, you are still exactly where you're meant to be. Till next time, stay steady, stay open, and remember, you were never here to blend in. You were always meant to lead.